Alright, greetings everybody. It has just been something I wanted to speak about for a while now is the concept of God, because we live in a society where that word when people talk about God in some avenues, in some crowds, it's like it automatically brings conflict. It brings confusion to some people. Your God, my God, them people like God, them kind of something there. And it tends to bring division, misconceptions among different groups of people. But my experience has led me to come to one conclusion, and it's pretty simple. Because, too often, because of religion, we complicate simple things, and people end up losing their way, life end up losing its true meaning. And what I want to share with you is what I have found as it relates to the true definition of God. Growing up, it was like, you hear about God, it was like this being, perhaps this huge being sitting on a huge chair called a throne with something in his hand. He's a ruler, he governs, he's telling you what to do, what not to do. That's perhaps some people's perception. That was my perception but growing up, you know. But then I come to realize that God is a spirit, and the Bible speaks about God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And when I check the definition for spirit, it shows me that it is related to what we know as energy or a force. So, in other words, a spirit is a force. A force is the same thing as it's a form of energy. And what I have learned from science class has taught me that energy cannot be created or destroyed, and so it basically gets rid of the question who created God, because it's crazy, but people seriously ask questions like those. And so you find that energy only changes its form, and it cannot be created or destroyed. It only changes form. So positive thinking, that is God. Because if you think in such a way that elevates somebody and not bring them down, then that is an act of God. And so I believe that God is a spirit, and the spirit resonates within mankind, and where two or three are gathered, touching anything that is concerned with this all-powerful infinite force, then God shows up. Because if it is ideas, then you can point back to a scripture that says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And I paraphrased it and I said that in the beginning was the idea was with God, and the idea was God. And so my philosophy throughout this life is that God won't give you $1 million if that's what you desire. But however, God give you $1 billion ideas and the conditions necessary to make it manifested. And so I want to share with you, do not complicate God. It's simple. It's as simple as God is a spirit, God is an energy. Right? So if we understand how to connect to, how to cultivate, and how to appreciate this energy, then there will be nothing impossible. Everything that is created was once a thought. And that's why I said in the beginning was the thought, and the thought was with God, the thought was God. In the beginning, there was a thought that somebody could make a device like the one I'm using to communicate to you now. and it could do what it is doing now and more. And the thought became realistic and materialized. And that is how God operates. Right? So we have to think in that realm. It's that simple. God is a spirit. God is an energy. God is a force. Let us, as a people, learn to cultivate this spirit, cultivate this force, cultivate this energy. And it's as simple. Don't look for God out there. He's within us. And the good that you do for the simplest of man, that is an act of God. So do not try to do the great things to get the great things behind your name, the great titles. The simplest you do for a man or a woman on earth, it is an act of God. Let us act on earth. It is an act of God. Let us act. Let us aspire to think generously and honestly, and so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the entire human race. May God be with you.